Is this gonna be the surprise hit of the summer? Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my first impression reaction to Gachiakuta. This is a big series. Like, this has been really hyped up. People have been super excited for this. This is one of those shows that has just received, like, insane levels of hype. I've been hearing about it constantly. People have been talking about it, waiting for it to come out um, for months and months now. It's not quite the level of hype that Chainsaw Man or Don had. Those had a little bit more hype to them. I'd say this is more on the level of when My Hero Academia first came out in like 2016. It's more that level of hype, like a really high level of hype. Everybody's talking about it, but it's like Dan and Chainsaw Man just reached a whole new level with that. To be fair, but I don't know anything about this because I've seen people like talking about how excited they are for it, but I have actively chosen to stay away from hearing anything about it. I haven't seen a trailer. I haven't like heard anything about the plot. I don't know anything. And as I've stated plenty in the past on this channel, that is what I prefer to do when I go into these shows. If I can, I would like to know nothing. And so, we're already off to a good start. And the title doesn't give me anything to work off of either. Gachiakuta, I don't know what that would translate to, so I don't know what that is saying. I just don't know. And I haven't heard like any English like translated title for this. You know how some shows will like their titles will be mostly known for the English, like My Hero Academia instead of Boku no Hero Academia, or Attack on Titan instead of I believe it's Shingeki no Kyojin. Um, Most people know it for the English title instead of the Japanese. But this is one I've only heard the Japanese title. I don't know like if there even is like an English title that's like advertised as. So yeah, I don't know. I also don't know like what kind of genre or anything this is either. I know like nothing about what I'm getting into. The only thing close is that I've seen like I think one character design months ago, because I think I saw a post on like either Twitter or Blue Sky or something where someone was like sharing like a character design for the anime specifically, like, oh, this is like what this character is going to look like in the anime. But I scrolled past it like really quickly. I didn't like pay attention, so I've seen it, but like super briefly. um yeah, I could not tell you. I could not tell you, but like I said, it has a lot of hype surrounding it. And when I said in like the cold open, like, could it be like the surprise hit of the summer? It's like you got to realize everything that's coming out this summer. With as much hype as this has around it, it's like it's also coming out in the same season as stuff like season 2 of Panty and Stocking. It's also coming out at the same time as season 2 of Dan, and so much else. Isn't season 2 of Call of the Night, like, didn't that start up too? And that's a pretty well loved series as well. So yeah, it's like this is people have been saying this is a pretty stacked summer season, and that just kind of adds to the fact that you have this new series that's starting out that people do know for like the manga, I guess, but a lot of people who have never heard of it are going to like be kind of like unsure about it at first, at least. And like I had not heard of it until the hype surrounding the anime started, so I'm with that. But all of this being said, I think we should just check this out, find out what it is, like what happens in it, find out anything. Because I know some people might be like, how could you go into a series without knowing anything about it? It's like, don't you want to like know if it's even going to be for you or not? No. That's literally the point. I don't want to know that ahead of time. I as a reactor, I want to be going in as blind as possible to give the best, most authentic reaction. It's if I'm spoiled on things, if I watch all these trailers and everything and know like what's going to happen, it's like that's going to completely mar my reaction to it. I'm not going to be invested. I'm not going to be interested because I already know what's going down. So, yeah, it's a thing with other reactors. I know there's other reactors who watch a lot of trailers and stuff, and it's like, I've never understood it. It's like you're basically spoiling yourself to what's going to happen. And it's like, doesn't... And there are reactions I've seen from other reactors that I feel like would have been like a lot better if they didn't know what was going to happen. Because there's a lot where it's like they just like practically know like step by step like the events of episodes or whatnot, and it's just like I'm not enjoying this reaction because you're not blind on it. You clearly know what's going to happen. And it's like they even mention sometimes it's like, "Oh, I remember this from the trailer." It's like but they say it like a lot. Maybe that's just a me thing. Maybe it's just like it just bothers me. Like it's the same thing with Let's Plays. I don't like watching Let's Plays from people who have played the game before, because it's like I want to see their blind first reactions to these stories, these characters, etc. If they know what's going to happen, that takes away from that, right? Excuse me, sorry for all the yawning, don't know what that's about, but either way, I think we're just going to get into this, hope for the best, and see what this is about. So, let's check out the first episode. Oh, shoot. I almost forgot to mention. For those of you who are new here, and you don't know what a first impression reaction is, let me explain that real quick before we get this started. So on this channel, we have first impression reactions, which are when I take a series that I haven't seen yet, and I watch the first episode or so to get a idea of what it's going to be like. It's usually I usually do these for shows that I'm not sure if I want to react to, for shows that I'm like uncertain about. And in this case, it's also a donation reward from Venom. I should probably mention that too. But with this, it's like I'm not sure if this is going to be something I'm going to want to react to because I don't know anything about it. So I'm going to like do a first impression because I was planning on doing this even before Venom chose to have me do it. I'll do a first impression and see what my thoughts are on it, and that will allow me to determine if I want to continue reacting, because that's the big thing with first impressions reactions. It determines whether I want to continue reacting to it, watch it on my own time, or if it's just not something I'm interested in and I'm going to drop it. And we've had all three of those represented on this channel, so it's just a matter of who knows what's going to happen until we watch the episode. But I will say by the end of the afterthoughts, probably before the end, whether or not we're going to continue it. So that will be in the video. No worries there. But if you have any questions or whatnot, you can always ask me in the comments as well. But like I said, all of that being said, now we're going to get on with the reaction. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, I feel like I'm a little mixed on this. Like, there's parts of me that's, like, interested, and parts of me that is not. Or I guess there's, like, certain parts of this series, or at least this first episode, that I'm interested in, and parts that I'm not interested in. It's it's an interesting story that very much is clearly about classism and just, a lot of the different factors surrounding that. But I don't know, it seems pretty generic to me right off the bat. Like, it doesn't seem like, I mean, outside of the plot being, I guess, a little more unique, like, the general idea of it, the general, like, look of it, it's like it has a very stylized, like, look with its character designs and stuff, but generally, like, even with, like, the expressions, a lot of it is very safe and very simple. A lot of this kind of stuff you see all the time. And overall, just it feels like a very standard shonen anime. Like, there's not a lot of not a lot that really sets it apart. Like, when you compare it to something like Dan or Chainsaw Man I know is not really like a shonen, but I think it's a seinen, but either way. When you compare it to something like those, it's like it doesn't stand out as much. It doesn't seem, at least to me, as memorable and interesting as shows like that. And I know it's like you shouldn't just compare it to other shows, you should judge it on its own merits. And I am as well. But, like, you almost can't help sometimes comparing certain things, especially when multiple things are airing at the same time that kind of have a similar vibe. I just think that these other shows have kind of done it better. This kind of idea, this kind of style. Um, but there are certain aspects of this that seem very interesting to me. Um, the classism thing is obviously the major theme of this, with the way that these tribes folk are looked down on, and the way that, like, he's, like, for example, just accused of and assumed to be the murderer without any evidence just because he's a tribesfolk. And we even have, like, other tribesfolk turning their backs on him. We see Chiwa, I think her name was. She, like, believed in him, she defended him, she was entirely on his side, but the moment he's, strung up to be dropped into the pit, she just completely turns her back on him and says, it's like, I thought I knew you. I thought you were a good guy, but apparently you're not. She just completely falls into the lie as well. And it's like she doesn't believe him anymore. It's, I guess, because everyone is saying it. Everyone is, like, assuming, and by the fact that he's, in like, he's being sentenced, she kind of, I feel like, assumes that means he's guilty, even though it's clear that that's not the case. That's not how this justice system works. And we don't know the identity of the true killer, like, no clue on who that is yet. But the killer was watching. And the killer's been watching, like, a lot throughout the episode, so it's really curious about that. I almost kind of wonder if the killer wasn't, like, didn't have anything against Regto, but only killed him specifically to get Rudo thrown into the pit. And if that is the case, why? But I am thinking there's probably going to be other people living down there, because you have to have other characters. And we saw how the trash broke his fall. So I assume he's going to come in contact with others like him who have been thrown down there. His father might even still be alive. His biological father. So there's definitely an intrigue factor in that. And also fucking Trash Dragon. It's like, what the fuck? Also, I looked up the title. Apparently, it does translate to legit trash. So that's what Gachiakuta means. And yeah, it's fitting. But I'm glad people call this by Gachiakuta instead of just calling this series legit trash, because that's like, no. Don't call it that ever. But yeah. There's definitely a lot of intrigue here, definitely a lot of mystery. And I'm very curious as to like find out what the answers to all of that are. And I wonder if we're gonna like see Chiwa again. I assume like if we get back up there. But I also wonder if we're gonna like kind of go back and see like stories happening like with our main character, focus on that down in the pit, but then like go up to the city and like focus on like characters up there as well, like see both sides of it. I feel like it almost has to be, right? Because one thing I noticed about this first episode is that it really didn't give a lot of time into the classism aspect, despite that very clearly being the main theme. It really didn't go into that as much as I feel like it should have. We focused on Rudo being a trash thief and everything. We focused on his relationships to other characters before all that was taken away from him. But it's like the focus on the classism felt like it could have been like pushed a little more. Because I feel like, again, that's kind of the biggest point that they're going for here. Kind of the biggest theme of the series. And so it's like, I assume future episodes are going to like tackle that even further. Maybe we'll like learn backstories for characters who are down here in the pits, and we'll see like what happened when they were up there. So it's really interesting. And then there was also the line that was said about like, oh, we're like trying to work our way back in or something. So it's like, it looked like, because we saw Regto in the main part of the city, the clean part of the city, right? So we know that like they can go there whenever they want, I guess. It's just they can't live there. They can't stay there. But the line I mentioned kind of implies that possibly they could earn their way back. It doesn't go into details of how that would happen or anything, but that's kind of fucked up in its own right, because it's like you have classism, you have this like extreme control and bigotry. It's very clear like the classism is like done specifically to control people, to like just absolutely like make them follow your strict orders and all. And I feel like there's definitely got to be a lot more to this entire society than what we know of. It's just kind of unclear at the moment as to exactly what's going on, and we need a lot more info. And I know this is just the first episode. I understand that, but it's like, I just feel like we need to know more before we can like properly judge it. That being said, in regards to that, I think the best choice would be to continue this for now. I can't promise that it's going to be something that I like get all the way through or whatnot. Because I'm still kind of unsure on my feelings about it. I feel like it's going to depend a lot on various factors on how it continues to go. This is one of those shows that I need to see more before I can make a true final decision. I need more information. Um, but from what I saw, it's like it's not bad. It's not bad by any means. And going back to the entire thing with like Chiwa turning her back on him, it's like I feel like that's going to affect him a lot more than he's just letting on currently. Like he's obviously pledging to kill them all and everything, but I think this is actually going to bother him more. I think it's actually going to like really mess him up. I mean, on top of, Regto's death, it's like this is going to be another thing that just emotionally hurts him going into next episode because she was his best friend and he loved her. And she loved him too. Like she accidentally admitted that. they had mutual crushes on each other, and so it's like it's definitely the situation where she just fell to the popular statements that were being made. She just let herself be controlled by what others were saying about him rather than realizing that he would never have done that. And I assume at some point in the future they'll probably they'll probably meet each other again. It'd be really interesting if there ended up being a time skip at some point, and then like when he ended up meeting her, she was one of those apostles. That would be really interesting. That would be a fascinating twist. The apostles are interesting too because it's like they're the police force clearly, but they're like referred to in like a more like biblical sense, And I think that's intentional to showcase how these wealthy elites look at themselves and even look at others who they deem as being below them. It's a really fascinating choice to show them like have this like self-righteous, godly attitude about themselves. It's just one of those things. But yeah, it's like I feel like I just need to see more. So we're gonna continue to check it out. I don't know when we're gonna get back to it. It's just gonna be a matter of when I feel up to it, basically, based on a few different factors. But we will continue to check it out in the future at some point. And hopefully it does end up impressing me, and does more than just this episode did. But all of that being said, thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. And let me know your thoughts on Gachiakuta's first episode down in the comments below, but no spoilers, please. I wish to remain spoiler free and don't want to know anything about what's to come. So, thank you all so much once again. I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.